Well, this is absolutely unbelievable. Apparently, the Egyptian authorities have signed off on a project to replace the missing facing stones on Menkaure's pyramid. And if this actually happens, this will be the most destructive thing that's happened on the Giza Plateau since Howard Weiss used dynamite on the Great Pyramid, for crying out loud. Now, why the hell would the Egyptian Antiquities Authorities let such a thing happen? Well, let's discuss that. Hi, I'm Dan, and welcome to Debunking. Now, you heard me right. They plan to refurbish one of the big three pyramids at Giza. Now, I used Google Foo stuff to translate this as best as I could. Some of it's missing, sorry, but check this out. In the project, we will do drawing and photographing with a laser scan. Then we will begin, God Almighty willing, to reinstall the granite blocks as they were in... And then he's interrupted. He clarifies it's on all four sides of the pyramid. The project of the century will not last more than 3 years. The respected Egyptian workers will work summer, winter, spring, and fall. There will be no doubt about it. Now, all three of the Giza pyramids were originally covered in granite-facing stones. They would have been polished white granite that would have glistened in the sun and made quite the spectacle back in the day. Now, over the millennia since their construction, they've been robbed of these blocks for other projects, and Menkaure's pyramid, the smallest of the three, still has several courses of these finishing stones intact on the lower sides of the pyramid. Now, some of these stones are unfinished, showing us that they were placed before the shaping of the rock was complete. The casing stones were placed, then cleaned up. Nubs and other rough areas were smoothed out. And all around the perimeter of the edifice, we see these things laying around in busted up heaps. Been there for hundreds, maybe even 1,000 years or so, just busted to hell, the leftovers of them stealing the pieces off the side of Menkaure's pyramid. And these are the stones they intend to put back on the pyramid. These stones right here. This has more issues than all of my exes combined. Ancient Architects not only clued me into this happening, by the way, but his video on the topic is excellent, linked below. Now check it out after you finish this video. It's full of great insights just like this.
First of all, how would you go about reassembling the casing stones? The ones that have been lying on the ground outside have been there for hundreds of years. The limestone looks to have been shaped to allow the quality tight fitting of the granite, but you're not going to be able to find which blocks went where, because the exposed limestone has been left open to the elements for centuries. What it will be is crude restoration work, using original materials but placed in a way they can fit together to give a good finish. And if cement and concrete are used, if the limestone is cut back to fit some blocks into place, well, that's irreparable damage to an ancient structure and would be unforgivable to those that really care.
That's pretty thorough. As a matter of fact, he covered so much that I wasn't even going to make a video anymore. When he first tweeted about it, I was like, ooh, I'm going to make a video, because Ancient Architects tweeting about it is where I first heard of this. It's not really in the Western media at the time of me recording this. But his video was so thorough, I was like, well, there's really not much left for me to cover. But there's one area I slightly disagree with him. And Matt, you're a pimp and a stud, and I do not think that you're wrong. I think that I disagree with you here, buddy.
I really don't understand it. It's a project that nobody has been calling for. It appeases nobody, costs a fortune, and achieves nothing. But of course we know why it's happening. The T word. Tourism. But this won't have any effect on tourism, because nobody has been calling for this to happen.
I think I actually know why the Egyptian authorities want to do this, and it is for tourism, like Ancient Architects said, but it's not because of guys like myself or Ancient Architects or History for Granite or most likely you, dear viewer. It is actually for people that are, well, like the kind of person that Zahi Hawaas said will show up no matter what. No matter what kind of social strife is going on in Egypt, these tourists show up. What kind of tourists are those?
If there is anything bad in Egypt, this New Age viewer, they come. They don't care.
In my opinion, there are people who want this. People who would pay stupid money to be able to visit a pyramid that was finished. I mean, think about the belief that the pyramid is like a capacitor or a maser or a chemical power plant or any of these things. You kind of need it to be finished in order for it to work. So it missing pieces makes it like not work. So you don't want to like mess with the big pyramid if you're doing this, because it's already a tourist draw. But that littlest one, well, it's probably the least of the three. Definitely exponentially less than the big boy. That one's, Khufu's pyramid's getting all the attention, but all of a sudden, I wouldn't be surprised if this one had people wanting to book it too. Because did you know you could go book like book rooms in the pyramid and like hang out and meditate and shit? Yeah, and I'll guarantee you there's going to be people lined up to do this when this thing's all faced and looks done and it's all pretty, and there's going to be people in there with all kinds of goofy meters walking around and testing electromagnetics and shit. Guarantee you. As I mentioned in a previous video, Egyptian tourism has been down for around 20 years. And this is actually a great way, like turning the least popular of the 3 pyramids at Giza into the most popular, at least for a temporary period of time right out the gate. That's pretty slick. And it'll also make for some pretty fancy photographs and stuff. If they got it all polished white and shining and whatnot, it will definitely... The old ones look stale compared to what they're going to have in 10 years. I almost guarantee you this is the thinking that's going on in their head. They're trying to attract new agers, and they're trying to make it look literally and figuratively more polished. And of course, in all of this rush for them to put all of this tourism stuff together, as ancient architects said, there's some really soul-crushing parts of this.
What people want, what researchers really want, is access to the data. I say this because in recent years, a lot of new data has not been made public.
So odds are we probably won't see the data that they get from excavating that lowest course. They probably won't give us much of any of that. I think guys like Zahi Hawaas are well aware that this keeps the mystery alive by not pointing this out. I mean, History for Granite eloquently put this not so long ago.
In my opinion, the main reason so few people are aware the pyramids have been radiocarbon tested is because those tests have been intentionally downplayed by Giza spokespersons Mark Lehner and Zahi Hawaas. In their definitive history book about Giza published in 2017, there is but a single sentence mentioning carbon testing has taken place, and no citation for it is provided. In particular, Zahi Hawaas is not eager to promote radiocarbon science about the pyramids because as a promoter of tourism, he believes alternative history believers are Egypt's best customers.
And I think both History for Granite and Ancient Architects are dead on here. There's no reason for them to share this data with us. All it's going to do is hurt their tourism dollar. I mean, they regularly block up like troublesome passages in pyramids and temples because it's easier for them to go another way and make the same amount of money and not risk breaking a limb, and they're less concerned with proper exploration than they are making money, and you know, it's their means of a livelihood. It's not some big mystery. It's the damn thing that's been in their backyard all their life. If any of you that live next to something that's like some major cool thing to the rest of the world, but to you it's just mundane, you know exactly what I'm talking about here. So sharing information that reduces tourism but advances scientific knowledge to the public at large is not something that we're going to see in a world when academic journals try to charge lay people $30 to $100 for a scientific paper, expecting the Egyptians to give up their info for $30 to $100 when it could potentially harm their tourism is just not realistic. And it's easy for those of us that are interested in the pyramids to think that everybody heaps the same amount of veneration on these things that we do, but that's simply not the case. And while you may blame people that promote the pseudoscience angle, guys like Chris Dunn or Ben Van Kerkwyk or Jimmy Corsetti who claim the ancient Egyptians had high technology, in Egypt, one of the most famous archaeological sites on the planet, the place carbon dating was tested because the timeline is presumed to be so well known, the place that's baffled historians from Herodotus to Dr. Miano, it's not the pseudoscientists doing the real damage. It's tourism hiding in a lab coat of archaeology. If you got all the guys I just mentioned, Graham Hancock and Jimmy Corsetti and Chris Dunn and Ben, you got all these dudes together and ask them what they think they should do with that pyramid, and I guarantee you it will look nowhere near as disrespectful and disgusting as this. Now, that's the thing, is this reeks of financial investment and not any sort of love for information, science, or advancing the knowledge, or even a love of the damn edifice itself. This betrays like a lack of respect. I could go off about this for hours, but I should probably just end it here. So first of all, I want to thank Ancient Architects for the assistance you gave me in this video and just like letting me know this existed to begin with that tweet. And I want to thank all of my patrons here. You guys are tremendous. You really do give me confidence and obviously financial support as well. And that really does help me get going and give me motivated to do things on days like today when it's 2 o'clock in the morning and I've had a long one, but we're still knocking this crap out because I know there's people that actually value this stuff enough to throw a few bucks my way, and that effing motivates me. So thank you. You guys have a great day. We will see you next time.